Hey, what's going on, everybody? You may have noticed that there's something a little bit different in today's video. I do not have my glasses. And it's crazy, actually, because every time that I think that I might be losing my real-life George Costanza status, something else happens to me that also happened to George Costanza. Somebody stole my glasses.
Who steals prescription glasses?
And that was my first thought. Who steals prescription glasses? I was at some fireworks thing not too far from where I live, and I went to go take my daughter to the bathroom. I set my glasses down. We turned around to get some paper towels, and you know we weren't gone for 20 seconds. When we came back, my glasses were gone, so that's fun. So I'm waiting on a new pair of those to come in. Anyway, so today I want to talk about some logo rebrands that I absolutely hate, and this time I've actually taken the time and put it into order. So we're gonna do like a countdown type of thing. So these are logo rebrands that I do not like at all. They're terrible rebrands. I think you can probably guess what the #1 spot will be. I try to not do what everyone else is saying, but I think that the worst rebrand of all time is held by one company. So let's go ahead and start this right here. I've only put 7 together here. So this one right here, I think this one goes back a little ways. So this one is the Yahoo logo right here, the before and the after. And basically what they did was they completely cleaned up the typography, and they went to this this font that, like, I believe it looks like Optima Pro, or it looks like, something very similar to that. And then they did this purple right here. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit for you. Did this purple with a bevel effect on it, and then also like just the lettering itself. Like, in my personal opinion, this one on the left right here is not the greatest font in the history of the world. However, I think that this better captures the feel of Yahoo. It's like they're supposed to be, like it's in the name, Yahoo. It's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be lively, energetic, and like maybe even comical, dare I say. But like, I really actually do. I've always liked this logo. I've always felt that it balances well. I could be in the minority. I don't know, but I feel like it really captures the brand well. And from them going from this to this, if it were backwards, if they went from the right to the left, then I would say, oh, they're embracing a little bit more of their fun side, but the fact that they went from this to this, it just screams, hey, we're corporate, hey, we're boring type of thing. The only thing that they did kind of set themselves apart on is they did make the 2 O's a little bit different sizing. So that's interesting, at least. The kerning is not too bad. I would open up a little bit more space between this H and this O right here. And you know what? I'll give them some props. They definitely did keep the exclamation point. So I'll give them some points for that. But other than that, there are a couple of things here that they get a few points on, and that's why they're at the very top of the countdown here. So, not a big fan of this one at all. All right, so Animal Planet. So when you line all 3 of these up together, one of them to me is a good logo, and the other 2 are just really bad. So the one on the far left, to me, like it's showing, like the elephant playing with the earth, like playing with the ball and stuff like that, and that's great. I actually really do like that logo, and I like the typography right here. Like, this to me looks and feels like Animal Planet. If they wanted to rebrand from this to something else, then I would have suggested just making the planet like just a circle, or you could have done some kind of like a minimalist version of what the Earth looks like, instead of it being a photograph of the Earth. But when they go from this right here to when they go from this to this, it just looks weird, and I'm not exactly sure. I'm not exactly sure what the messaging is supposed to be here. Like it looks like, when you highlight the M on its side, first off, why is the M turned on its side, and also why is it highlighted? So I can't really find a good reason for that. I've looked at this for years now. Like, if there is a reason out there, please somebody tell me down in the comments, because I have no idea what the reasoning is. The only thing that that could possibly make sense to me is that the number 13 somehow plays a role in Animal Planet, but with all of the different cable channels and carriers and everything, you know, Animal Planet could be in any channel number out there depending on what region you're in. So I don't know what the significance of it is. And also, if they were trying to highlight a 13, then the I would also have to be highlighted, right? Because, you know, like you're making the M stand out, but you're not making the I stand out. And, you know, so I don't think it's a 13. I don't know what it's supposed to be, but it's just not good. And then also, going even further to the right over here, we've got this really strange, like, jumping looking elephant. And as far as I know, elephants don't really jump in that kind of emotion. You know, like they go back up on their hind legs and everything. But it looks like the elephant is in motion right here. It's just odd looking. It almost looks like an elephant rocking horse type of design with no actual rocking horse ability. So I don't really know exactly what they're going for here. I don't hate the typography here. I'm actually a really big fan of this type of typography. The only problem is that it doesn't convey anything about animals to me. Like, if anything at all, if there was one thing that I would change about this, I would change the color of the elephant to green, and then the Animal Planet maybe to brown or something like that. But I don't know. I just think that they've had 2 fails in a row here. So anyway, so Animal Planet is number 6, I believe. I think that's what I wrote down. Did I write down 7? Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so Animal Planet is number 6. All right, so let's go to the next one. All right, Kraft Foods. So in 2009, they rebranded to this, and I remember seeing these packages. I think they actually have gone back to their original design, or at least something very close to it. But going from this right here, which is very, like, you know, like, that's established, that's recognizable. I remember that from when I was a kid. When they go from that to this weird thing right here, like, first off they've got a new font. Of course, it's all in lowercase. That was a really big trendy thing in the late 2000s, early 2010s. Lowercase was a really big thing. I'm actually really surprised that, since they did a bold and a regular right next to each other, I'm surprised that they didn't leave a no space in between these. They actually did put a little bit of a space in between there, or it could just be a whole lot of kerning. I don't know. But so they've got this font right here. Then they've got this "Make Today Delicious" right here. So they're adding, like, they've got the typography. They're adding a tagline, and then they've also done one of the worst things you can do in a logo design is add a swoop. And not only did they add a swoop, but they also added some little very generic looking elements. When you look at this logo as a whole, it looks like something you would see as a generic. As like a generic version of a brand, you know, like this looks like, you know, this is Kraft, you know, it's like Kraft is a household name, everyone knows that name. And then there's this one, Kraft Foods. We are the knockoff version of Kraft. Like, that's exactly what it looks like. It looks so generic and so boring. And then they did this version of it right here. They altered it. It says right here they altered it only a few months later, but, like, this is worse. Like, it's a step in the wrong direction. Like I appreciate the fact that they cleaned up the typography, and especially the "Make Today Delicious," because this font is just awful. For this is something you would see out of the mid 90s, but not for any kind of branding purposes. But anyway, so, like, and then they added in these gradients. I mean, it's better if you're gonna have something like that. You know, it's a lot better to have just solid colors. Don't mess around with the gradients. Gradients are so touchy. So, and you have to really know what you're doing with that. You know, how does this work, you know, as a solid color logo? I mean, like, you know, sure, like, all of these elements are separated, but it would just look weird. You know, it's just like, you know, it's just like a vomit of all these different shapes and elements, and, you know, without the colors, without the gradients there, it doesn't really work. So anyway, not a big fan of that one. Okay, and then Radio Shack. So Radio Shack was one of my favorite places to go when I was a kid. I always went with my dad, and, you know, he would go off and find what he was looking for, and I was always off playing with, like, the instruments and the keyboards and stuff like that. I love going to Radio Shack. And then when they changed it It's funny actually. Like I think it's hilarious when companies panic. You know, like when their reaction is a reaction of panic rather than, oh, you know what, let's try to adapt. When Radio Shack, when it looked like it was, you know, not doing so well and things weren't going so well, business hadn't been doing well in a long time. So they're like, okay, well, we need to make ourselves hip, so we're just going to call ourselves the Shack. But then, as you can see here, they still have Radio Shack at the top. So is the name of the company Radio Shack the Shack, or is it the Shack, or is it still Radio Shack and the Shack is like an advertising campaign, or like what is it? Like what is the Shack? You know, and plus on top of that, no one ever called it the Shack before. Everyone called it Radio Shack. So like it fails on all fronts. It just makes no sense at all. And plus they chose the most boring, uninspired font that you could possibly choose. You know, I'm pretty sure this is Impact. If it's not Impact, it's way too similar to Impact. They should have gone with something entirely different and just gone completely away from their visual identity. If they wanted to completely rebrand and change the visual identity, then they should have gone with something entirely different. Definitely keep the colors though, red and black, because those, you know, those two colors right there, that's Radio Shack. But it was just a big fail, and then they went back to it very quickly. They went back to Radio Shack very quickly, and they ditched the Shack thing. And thank goodness they did, because this is just awful. Okay, and then Tropicana. So this definitely makes a lot of lists for worst rebrands. And as you can see right here, so look at this. This looks like, you know, an orange juice carton from a very established, very well-known, like, you know, it's a what's the term I'm looking for? Like, it's a household name. Tropicana is a household name, and this design right here, everything about this, it perfectly encapsulates all of that, right? So they go from this over to this, and it's hilarious because the way that this looks right here, it looks like Tropicana went out of business. It looks like Tropicana went out of business, disappeared from all the shelves, and what appeared in its place was a store brand version of Tropicana. It's hysterical to me. Like, this is so generic looking and so plain and so boring, and you know, it's just a glass of orange juice. Whereas before you had that really nice visually enticing image of the orange with the straw stuck in it, and it's, you know, like there's condensation on the orange. You've got the green, you've got the orange. Like there's a great balance of colors in all of this. I'm not suggesting that this is one of the greatest designs ever, but at least with the Tropicana logo right here, you've got, you know, like there's a little bit of visual interest. You got that art going on, and then there's the leaf on top of the eye. I mean, it's just all around great. And you go from this over to this. It just look like if you know, like just try to visualize the one on the left, you know, in your grocer's refrigerated section, you know, like where you would find orange juice. Try to envision it there, and envision them all lined up next to each other. It looks great, right? Envision this all lined up with each other. It just looks so plain, boring, and generic. Like it looks like you're buying an off-brand when you're buying the real brand. So not good at all in terms of visual communication. Horrible fail on Tropicana. All right. So now we're getting to the top two. So see, these are the final two right here, and I'm going to try not to get upset as I talk about these. You knew it was coming. So the Gap. This right here is, I'll never forget when I first saw this. I actually thought it was a joke. So it was a buddy of mine sent this to me, and I thought he was playing a prank on me, seriously. But going from something that is so recognizable, everyone knew the Gap logo. It's been around forever, you know? So they go from that to, hey, let's just type out Gap in Helvetica bold, and we'll put this really ugly gradient behind it. So there's already a couple of things. So like in the late 2000s and then going all the way up into the mid 2010s, what was going on was a lot of these companies were rebranding, and they were just replacing whatever they had with Helvetica bold. And it was like there was like this Helvetica front that was just happening just over and over and over again. And I think Gap may have been one of the first to kind of start that whole thing. But when they did this, again, it looks like you're going from a household name that's very established to something that is, like a very generic, store brand version of what the Gap is supposed to be. You don't have those nice tall letters anymore that are, like that with the serif font inside of the blue square. It's just so recognizable, and like it captures the Gap very well. This does not capture the Gap at all, like not even a little bit. Like you've got regular sentence case right here with Helvetica bold, and then you've got this square with a gradient, which is also breaking another rule of logo design. This, like when you're putting together your logos, the first thing you do is, like when you're designing it out, you design it in black first. Make sure that it can work in black and then also solid white. It needs to be able to work as one color. If you convert this to a solid color, then this black right here, it interferes with that P. So like it's crazy to think about it, like what it would actually look like if you went from from the gradient that's sitting behind the Gap to a completely black square. It looks like it's going to blend right in with that lowercase p, and it's just a terrible design. My sister-in-law actually has, I think she might still have this jacket, but it was a jacket with that Gap logo on it. And I remember just looking at it and also being equally as infuriated seeing it on a product as I did on the screen. So big fail there, and thankfully they went right back to it. Like they pulled it from Twitter pretty quickly. But thankfully they went back to their iconic design, and this is one of those designs that, like it's not up there with Coca-Cola or Apple or anything like that, but I think that if they're going to ever rebrand the Gap, then they need to put a lot more thought into it and make something that is going to be just as recognizable as their blue square is. So shame on you, Gap. All right, and number one, you probably already know what's coming. Okay, here we go. The Pepsi rebrand. And if you haven't had an opportunity to look at this this kind of like style guide / proposal that was put together, it's really hysterical because they're overcomplicating everything as much as they possibly can. I mean, like bringing in pictures from the Mona Lisa and like looking at like ancient architecture and it's just ridiculous. I mean, like look what they went from at the time. This was the logo, and really I think I've talked about this before, but the Pepsi logo, this version right here, is one of my favorite logos of all time. I love the red on the top, the blue on the bottom, the white in the middle, and that nice simple wave that they had going on. Like to me, like I was never really a Pepsi drinker, but every time I'd see this, it would make me want a Pepsi. And it was crazy, actually. So I remember when this came out, and I was in college, so they went from the Pepsi Globe and everything like that, something that was so recognizable, to this monstrosity. Like there's nothing about any of these at all that is visually appealing, and it's supposed to represent a smile. And when I see this, it does not make me smile. Like, and also I still don't see it. Like I see some weird faces right here. They're just really, really strange faces, every single one of them. And there's nothing anywhere that's written that says that your logo has to look like it's smiling. Like, I mean, your logo should visually communicate what your company is, what you reflect, or like what you reflect, what you're actually putting out there for everybody in terms of the value that you offer. It shouldn't be like, it's just weird. It's just a really strange thing. And it's definitely my least favorite rebrand of all time. I hate it with a passion. Every single time I see it in the grocery store, it makes me it just makes me want to go do something bad. So and then of course so this right here, this one's probably my all-time favorite version of the Pepsi logo. I wish that they would just go back to this and just leave it at that. And then there was a graphic that was put out not too long after this Pepsi rebrand that I can't separate the Pepsi rebrand from this image. So here it is right here. This is what I think whenever I see one of the Pepsi ads, one of the new Pepsi ads, and that's exactly what I think as well. So I just see a big, obese guy carrying around a Pepsi, trying to keep himself, balanced and everything. It's just hysterical, and it's just a terrible rebrand. So those are my top 7 rebrands that I absolutely hate. So, all right. So I'm going to go back to this screen really quick so I can get some light on my face. So I really hope you enjoyed watching that. If you like videos like this, please let me know down in the comments. So like these more discussion based videos. I like talking design as much as I like designing. So if you like this video, please remember to hit like and subscribe down below, and also click the bell for notifications to be notified of all new content. It really helps me out when you subscribe, so I appreciate that. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.